Hello and welcome to the Squeaky Bum Time Podcast with Mike and Laurent. It is Thursday, April 29th. It is the NFL draft. Dun, 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 dun. But it's also the champions. I have fallen back in love with City. I don't care about Brighton anymore. United make a big statement, and we may have an all-England final or finals. But first, Mike, seeing all these teams in Europe that are not Spurs, you're just getting coaching speculation and all this crap. How do you feel?
Yeah. I don't know how to feel, right? Like, I've gotten rejected by 5 of the, I guess, to put it in high school terms, like the not even the hottest chicks, right? Like Brendan Rodgers is like the chubby chick with the tits and not interested. Thanks. Don't want to go to prom with you.
You're gonna. Do you want Ten Hag?
So yeah, we're going to a different school, right? We're like, hey, let's see what the chicks down the street are thinking, you know? So I mean,
of course,
yeah.
you know I want Potter. I was listening to the Totally Football show. One of the guys, a former goalkeeper, 20-year veteran, been up and down the leagues. I can't remember his name. He's the sporting director at Rochdale. A goalkeeper coach, excuse me. He was like, it should be Potter. Potter with a good finish with Spurs finishes in the top 4. I don't disagree. The guy's a good coach. It would be the problem is like English football is not ready for that guy to just take Spurs and make him to the top 4 because they're just like, oh, they don't know how to win. I'm like, dude, that team is good. And that he's got them playing the right way. And actually, the thing is, they're not good and they're playing well.
Yeah. So it's a weird thing, right? Where like, I don't know if I mentioned it on the show last week or when we were talking, but there's a lot of talk in like college football, like the quote unquote elite jobs, right? And I being a Michigan fan, like I hear that, before they hired Harbaugh, it's like they aren't, is Michigan an elite job anymore? Blah, blah. That's sort of where Spurs are because they're the Michigan of Europe, which
they are not fucking Michigan. Okay. They're not even close.
No. Michigan hasn't mattered. Michigan hasn't mattered since the 60s anyway. Right. Like aside from
get out of here. So, come on. Michigan is way bigger.
But what I'm saying is that they're middling. They're sort of stuck in their own way.
Arsenal are Michigan.
Yeah, that's actually true. But nonetheless, right? Like you've got circumstances that are getting in the way.
Yeah.
Right. And so you have Daniel Levy, you've got the board. So the takes I've seen are like, would any good manager take this job? And why would they? Of
course you fucking it's absurd. It's Spurs.
No, that's nonsense. But that's exactly the point, right? You have and we'll get to the games because it's way more interesting than this.
My game is much more interesting.
It's way more interesting. But the idea being that you have all of this shit to wade through. Yes, the squad is strong. You could walk into that team right now and make a difference, and you could play on for next year for a trophy, for top 4, for all that shit. But will you get the support? Mauricio Pochettino didn't. Jose Mourinho didn't. Who's to say that you were going to all of a sudden? Yeah, so there's a lot of hesitancy.
But Potter doesn't even have the right to ask, right?
Well, you said this about Brodge, right? Like, why would he go there? Leicester are better than Spurs in every way.
Leicester are better than Spurs in every way.
Stadium, right?
Yeah. And aside from the fan base and the history, right?
Yeah, right. So I struggle to find that person. I have I've seen Jurgen Klinsmann's name thrown around. I find that to be interesting.
No, he's not a good coach.
I didn't say he was a good coach, but I don't know. We're at a crossroads, right? But that's a great segue. That's a great segue into who you and I both know I want back as the Tottenham head coach, as the last head coach. I've already said his name, Mauricio Pochettino. He had a bad week.
My friend, that game, so PSG, Manchester City, that game, like, City had the run of the game for maybe 10 minutes. Like, they were holding the ball and moving around. And then PSG found, like, the revolutionary spirit of Robespierre came through the Parc de Paris, and they attacked the fucking barricades and came after City ferocious. Like, I haven't seen City that on the ropes for that long since Liverpool 4-3 at Anfield. Like City were in trouble. They were deep. They were scared. They were hoofing it. And the goal they got from a corner that Marquinhos scored, like they were celebrating and they looked tough. They were like, we fucking got this. They're fucked. This team is weak. And City did play weak and they did play scared. And whatever the reasons are, you can go through all the psychological things. City were trying to play their game, but as people know, the good teams or the teams that have success against City come after them hard. And when you do that, yes, you open yourselves up to a couple good passes. Bernardo Silva almost scored that flick on the edge of his foot on a way cross that Keylor Navas got. And then Phil Foden almost scored late in the first half. He was kind of open. But
I thought he could have done better with that.
He could have. He's 20 years old. He's in the Champions League semifinal. But France.
But also, what do you say every week? You don't have a striker.
We don't have a striker, and that's okay. Like
if that falls to Aguero, it's in the net.
Yeah, but Aguero wouldn't have.
But it's not an indictment on my favorite. Yeah. It's not an indictment on my favorite non-Tottenham player in the Premier League, Phil Foden. I love him. The difference
as
we go to halftime.
Yeah, the difference is with this City team, and at halftime, City come out. They didn't change. They kept playing, but what they did was they were like, "Oh, we can just play the way we always play." They started moving further forward. PSG, either their adrenaline dropped from like that intense half, or they kind of were like, we're good with this one goal. If they get another one, we'll turn it back up. But it seemed to me that the rhythm came back to City, and City played the way they always play. Now, they had chances. They didn't create that much, but they got goals from working, right? Mm-hmm. They got a goal from De Bruyne, free kick on the side. It just flies into no man's land. Navas is trying to play the cross versus playing the ball, and basically it's a cross that just goes in, hits the ground in a 6-yard box, bops in. The natural desire within the punditry is to blame Navas, but from all the explanations I've seen is like, no, it's really hard to know what to do on that.
Oh,
if you come for it,
it's impossible.
If you come for it and someone touches it, it goes right past you. If you wait, whatever. What the best thing was like hearing the real explanation, like this goalkeeper guy that was on the Totally show. He was like, if the ball comes to you at that angle, you don't see it or you don't move until it comes over the defenders. And it was so low over the defenders, he wasn't sure if someone could hit it. So you only see it as it's coming out from behind them, and you're naturally distracted by what's going on in front of you. And, John Stones is close. Right? You don't know what's going to happen. Yeah. So that goes in. Phil Foden then creates the free kick chance because he's just fucking awesome. And De Bruyne and Mahrez talk over the ball. Mahrez slams it. It looks like an amazing free kick that went around the wall. Turns out the ball went right through the wall, which was pretty sad. And then PSG, kind of in the latter stages of the second half, just starts getting nasty and kicking, and Idrissa Gueye gets sent off on a pretty fucking
gnarly. That was opening shot. Yeah.
I mean, it's a pretty gnarly challenge. The narrative is that PSG collapsed. I wouldn't say that. Like, it's still the team that fucking battered City for half an hour. They did.
I look at it as it's a Champions League semifinal between two absolute super heavyweights, right?
Yeah, really good teams.
Really good teams. And it was a really good game.
It was good.
And like you already said, it could have been tied going into halftime, and it could have been 2-0 PSG. And so City hung around, and at halftime, my take on it was Pep is going to wake these motherfuckers up. Like he's going to shake them.
Yeah, let's go.
Right. Pep is going to get at least a goal out of these guys in the second half. That was a shoo-in. What I didn't know was what PSG was going to do, because you've chronicled it there. And again, for those that don't know, it's an aggregate of 2 games, and the away goal matters a lot. So Mauricio Pochettino is sitting there at halftime.
Yeah.
It's 1-0, and he goes, if we can get out of here 1-0, it's like robbing a bank right now.
Even 1-1 is good for them.
1-1's better for City though, right?
Yeah, I understand that.
So if he could shut City out at home, that's a tremendous advantage.
And they could have.
Tremendous.
It was mistakes.
Well, they could have. they could have. But as we said, right, if it wasn't that, it felt like it was going to be something else, the way that City was playing that second half.
Yeah.
And so you wonder, because PSG was nipping at their heels and they were just everywhere in the first 30 to 35 minutes. It was great.
Yeah.
I mean, it was awesome to, honestly, as somebody who had watched Man City do that to my team 4 to 5 days prior. And it's not vindictive. I was like, holy shit, that's possible. That's a thing. You could do that.
Well, Spurs used to do it.
Yeah, I know. But so I marveled at the first half, and I kind of marveled exactly opposite direction about the second half. I thought it was so interesting that
they ran out of gas, dude.
They ran out of gas, but City had played a game midweek too. So City
I don't mean literally ran out of gas in terms of like they ran out of gas from playing all these games. They ran out of gas from the mental energy and perfection of their first half. Like they could not sustain the way they played, right? You can't play at high intensity football for that long. Like there were moments
I think
in the first half where City just got a hold of the ball and we're like, we got to rest. Let's just hold on to it. Like just stop doing anything.
But I also think that like philosophically they were like, okay, well, we just can't.
And they
started playing scared.
Yes.
They were playing scared a little bit.
Also, the other piece is that's how they played against PSG. I mean, against Bayern. They hit them on the break. Mbappe and Neymar, just incredible. The difference that City has now, is they have fucking Ruben Diaz, and Mbappe got no shots on target.
Yep. We talked about it. We talked about it on Monday.
Because
it was the great show with Sun.
Yeah. The thing is with great defenders, right? Great defenders stop things from happening. So you don't actually ever see, there's no play to see. It simply didn't happen. Right? He was just there. He elbowed a guy off the well. He cleared it. Like it just, there's nothing to show. There's no highlight. You have to really stop, look at it and go, oh, that ball over the top. And then you compare it to another ball over the top and you're like, oh yeah, Bayern's central defenders were two fucking old guys.
Yeah.
Who were last seen getting destroyed by Barca. Like, it's just like City's.
Well, that's the thing. Like when you look at the match ratings, right, and you've got the center backs and any position, but even like you notice, like the destroyer. You notice I keep using Højbjerg because he's my guy as an example, but like Conte is the one. Idrissa Gana Gueye before the red card. You noticed him then, but you notice those.
You don't really see Rodri. He kind of is an interceptor rather than a destroyer.
Yes, but he's the guy who's on the ball, right? And to your point is that when it's true in a lot of in hockey as well, right? Like the best defenseman isn't always the guy who's scoring all the power play points or whatever.
No.
It's the guy who you barely notice. It's the second pair defenseman who's just quietly. Oh, Sidney Crosby hasn't had a point tonight. Why? Because of that guy, right? It's the same thing. It's the same thing with Sonny and Kane were in Diaz's pocket, and it was true for Mbappe too.
Yeah.
But I think that Pochettino theoretically looked at the second half and said, okay, the zero is the most important number. If we can get another one, let's get it. But we're going to play a way that will open it because we're going to invite the pressure.
Yeah, they're coming.
We've got two of the fastest, most talented players in the world on the break. I mean, why wouldn't I do this?
Yeah.
So I get it from his perspective. It didn't work.
Yeah.
And so now we head back to the
and bad luck goals. Like just the wall. But
you sort of make your own luck.
Yeah. I understand it. Like
you invite
those goals we got were because we didn't get other goals that were good chances. Like it's fine. So
no. What I'm saying is that style of play. Hi, I just got to watch Jose Mourinho for 18 months. Those types of that type of play, they happen to you. You invite bad luck into your home.
Yeah, you let someone shoot all the time, bad shit's gonna happen.
Right. And so now we go back to the Etihad next week. Yeah, listen, it's not done and dusted at all. But so to be clear,
it's not.
Again, if City score, I'm sorry, if PSG score one goal, then technically it's tied 2-2. I'm just going through the explanation. Then technically it's tied 2-2. At the end of the match, you go to extra time, right? Nope. No. City's 2 away goals are massive.
Yes.
Right? PSG
have to score.
Think of it this way. They have to score 2.
Yeah.
Right? Because if they score 1, it's only tied. If they score 2, then they're winning. If City get 1, then we're back to square at 3-3. And then the away goals are tied. That's the only way we can go to extra time next week is if it's 2-1 PSG after normal 90 minutes. So we'll see. I mean, and to say that PSG is not capable of scoring 2 goals is silly, right? It's actually gonna be more fun for me knowing, and this is why I love the second leg about Champions League, because you go into these matches going, all right, well, we have to score 2 goals. Let's fucking get after it. And frankly, if City scores one early, PSG doesn't really care. Because they're like, all right, I mean, well, now we got to score 3, but I mean, we're not going to change anything, right? So it's going to be really, really.
I mean, it's 2 games, but it really is. It's halftime, and they just play over 2 games. It's kind of cool. It's soccer from the department of soccer is cool. This is one of the things that's cool.
Which is a light department. There's not a lot of full-time employees in that department. The file is very light, but that's the thing. Actually, I think for all the cultural differences between American sports and European sports, this is the one thing that I think they get right. Right? We have the 7-game series, which is not better or worse. In hockey, I disagree. I don't think it's better or worse. I think it's just different. I think it's got its beauty in and of itself. But man, they do. You know, it's funny. They do it in European basketball. They do 2 legs and combine the scores. Really? Yes. Interesting. So think about it. Like the away game, the team is playing. They're up by 40. They're like, no. They're not up by 40. They're actually only up by 10. They're just fucking pouring it on. Yeah. You know what sport this would be perfect for in America is the NFL. Yeah, if they did. Oh my God. Could you imagine the playoffs? Right? Yeah, they'd have to make them really short. Like, why are they doing extra games, right? Like, they should just do two-legged affairs. Oh my God, it'd be insane. Oh man. No, forget the regular season. Forget week 7, 18. Yeah, why are you doing week 18? Just add extra playoff. Do two-legged playoff. Add extra. Oh man, would that be something? We got to get Dave, the founder and one of the founders of Chop Sports Network, which we're very happy and proud to be on. Yeah. We got to get him on the show to ask him that question. What a 2-legged NFL playoff would feel like to him. Oh my God. And I was busting his balls earlier tonight. As we mentioned, it's the NFL draft. He got his Cowboys got a great player. Yeah. They did not get the player who I think he wanted first. And I thought that the Giants were going to get the player he wanted second, but that didn't happen. So he was ripping me. I was giving him some shit on Twitter, and he was like, "Nope, sorry, dude." I'm like, by the way, I want to point something out. That score that PSG need, the 3 or the 2, City have only given up more than 2 goals in a game for once all season. The 5-2 to Leicester. 2 goals is the most they've given up. They gave up 2 to Leeds, Tottenham once, 2 to Southampton, 2 to United, 2 to Tottenham. Yeah, we're on the list. Yeah. So it's not a common occurrence, right? And so, but you haven't played a caliber of PSG, right? We saw it in the first half, like we talked about. So no, it's extremely possible. Not strikers as good as those 2. Like the fact that they got through those 2 was incredible. And in fact, I think the closest you probably get to that, and I'm not saying they're the same, is Kane and Son. The tandem. United, which beat City. Are good too, like especially after United today. And everybody behind Kane and Son is dog shit. But what I'm saying is, as far as the strike partnership, that's as good as you've seen this year, probably. For sure. Aside from, unfortunately, Son, and Kane and Son they fucking beat City on stupid goals all the time that drive me nuts. On the other side of the bracket, City. Hold on, we're gonna talk about it. We're gonna talk about it right after this.
You know, myself and Gooch are both getting a little older. One of the first things to go is your vision. Thank goodness for our hookup over at Absolute Eyewear in Woodbridge, New Jersey, right on Main Street next to the train station. They have glasses for all ages, all budgets. They have safety glasses, sports glasses. They are a full-service powerhouse offering eye exams and even free lenses for the kids. They work with BCBS, AAA, AARP, giving massive discounts. They're open 5 days a week, closed on Wednesdays and Sundays. Call 732-326-3937 to get your first pair of Ray-Ban, Burberry, Coach, Polo, you name it, they got it. Go see Craig and Johnine right now. Hey guys, this is Sturch from the Chop Sports Podcast, and today I want to address something near and dear to my heart, and that's mental health awareness. More specifically, Joe Pizzamenti with Attitude of Gratitude Consulting. His consulting company can help you in so many ways, including an innovative way to lower your monthly bills. And guess what? If you lower my monthly bills, my mental health state is going through the roof. There's so much to learn about Joe and Attitude of Gratitude Consulting. Visit the website right now, www.attitudeofgratitudeconsulting.com.
On the other side of the bracket, Chelsea do a 1-1 versus Real Madrid. They hold Real Madrid. They boss the game. The vaunted midfield of Modric, Casemiro, and Kroos really were in quicksand. They should have won by more. Shockingly, Timo Werner missed a shot because he just does all the time. But our Lord and Savior, Mr. Christian Pulisic, on a wonder goal, tiptoeing around Courtois, very clinical, calm, gives Chelsea the goal. But then 10 minutes later, Benzema, the reason that Real Madrid is anywhere. I mean, if it weren't for Cristiano and Messi, Benzema would be the guy. He's kind of a forgotten superstar because he has
Real the whole time.
He had some time. He was at Lyon like everyone else who was good for a whole decade.
No, that's what I mean. But like through the whole La Decima,
he's got
all
some.
Those teams.
Yeah, he was there the whole time. He's got some seriously bad press because he doesn't play for the French national team.
We have to talk about this
because he tried to extort his teammate Valbuena, a midget, with some gangsters, with like bad, like dirty videos, some fucked up, like real Marseille French mafia, French connection type shit. So he's really.
Well, it was like your wife, something with his wife or something.
Yeah,
or
it's bad.
It was Valbuena was sweeping with other girls. We don't know the whole story because we're just two idiots with a microphone. But you should Google Karim Benzema, Fabian Balbuena.
Yes. Yeah.
Balbuena?
Yeah.
Yes.
Balbuena. That's short. The really short one.
Yeah. The Oompa Loompa.
Yeah,
what is Oompa Loompa in French, by the way? Is it
it's Oompa Loompa because they're French the whole time. They've been French. They're from an island off the coast of France. You didn't know that. I just letting you know.
Yeah,
a small island in the middle of the Seine.
Yeah.
But yeah, so he doesn't get the international games where you get that extra boost of star power, but he's incredible. And he was the water carrier for Ronaldo. Ronaldo never defended. And so Benzema basically did all the defending up front. And if he had the ball and Cristiano was nearby, he passed it to him because he just respected the game and he just did all the work. He got his goals, he got his assists, but he could have been a 40-goal guy. And so Real Madrid get out of that game with a 1-1, and they take it to Stamford Bridge. And you got to think they can't possibly play worse. Some thoughts, though. Chelsea might have the best squad in the Premier League. Aside from City.
No. Yeah, okay, thank you. Aside from City. Yeah,
I mean, but in terms of
Tuchel
depth and breadth, there's so many good players. They're just not like no one's whipped them together into a cohesive unit yet. But in terms of
that's
talent,
what Tuchel sort of has done.
Right.
No, I'd still take United's squad on the whole over Chelsea, I think.
Really? No way.
But it's close.
No way.
I think it's close either way, right? I think that there's a debate there. I think the point is
here's the thing is like Chelsea has a back line that they can swap guys out. United can't. It's been Shaw, Maguire, Wan-Bissaka, Lindelof. There's no changes. If they change, they lose.
It's a mess. Yeah.
Yeah, they don't have depth. Like that's the problem with United have. They're not really there. So we could have an All England final, like we had a couple years ago, but we could have an All England final in the Europa as well. And we've had that couple years ago. So this is actually breaking news. The English Premier League has taken over the top spot in the UEFA coefficients. It is the top league in the world now.
The fuck was the top league before?
La Liga.
Because of what?
Because they won 3 Champions Leagues in a row.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's based on your European.
It's based on the
of your team, right?
Yeah,
like when Leicester gets into the group stage and gets bounced, you drop. So you'd think that. So the European rankings are what UEFA in the past has used to determine how many Champions League spots you get. But the top 4 all get 4 now, which is because the Italians couldn't fucking hold up their end of the bargain.
Well, that's weird.
How'd it go invading Ethiopia? You guys were supposed to invade England. What's wrong with you?
Yeah.
We need help.
Oh, man.
That's my Nazi adjacent joke.
I was going to say, yeah. I had something Mussolini lined up, but that'll work. That'll do.
Yeah.
On the next. Yeah. So I think we could have an all English Europa League final as well. And that's sort of interesting that United blew past Roma today. Just blew them away.
Yeah. You know what? That Cavani guy, he's fucking good.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, on his day, right? Like, and it's the thing is that, like, yeah, he's older. Yeah, he can't do it all the time.
Old.
But
He's
man,
32. I mean,
yeah, but he's got 1,000,000 miles on him. Is the point?
And then
right?
he's got all the Uruguay games where he's got to play every game, no matter what. Always.
Yeah.
So he's
a lot of miles on him, but
he's
yeah,
in his
phenomenal.
age 33 season. Last season at PSG, he only scored 4 goals, and he'd been declining since 2016-17. So 35, 28, 18, 4, and he's had a little bit of resurgence at United with 8 goals, but he hasn't been playing. He's only
I would say
he's
that
only
for the
completed
amount of time.
He's only completed 12 90s.
Yeah, that's a good return.
Yeah, for an old head striker for sure.
Exactly. Yeah, sure. So United look like they're through to the final. And
they're through.
Right. And in the other, you've got Arsenal and Villarreal. Interesting because Unai Emery, former Arsenal manager.
Hello. Good evening.
Yeah, that is that was not a soundbite. That actually did sound like him, but that was Laurent. But totally classic Arsenal, right? Like just a complete mess. They go to Spain and it's all a catastrophe from the jump. 2 early goals for Villarreal. And
Villarreal is not exactly name brand. They're okay. Like they have some history.
They're like the Everton of Spain.
but Villarreal is like not. They should not be like fucking. You know. Let's just look.
Well, it's really a sign of. It's a commentary on where Arsenal is at the moment more than where Villarreal is. But like,
it's starting to fade for Port. Well, Villarreal are in 7th. They have a +12. They're not a terrible team. So they're okay.
No, but they're certainly not a good team, and they're certainly a team you would expect to beat over 2 fixtures if you have the ambitions of a club like Arsenal. Yeah. However, 2 early goals.
Yeah,
it gets a little bit messy. Dani Ceballos gets 2 yellow cards, so he gets sent off in the 57th minute, I believe.
Yeah,
and I lost track of the game from there. However, I did see there was an extremely questionable penalty. I think Pepe goes down in the box. Good. And before we started recording, Laurent was like, look, that's just fucking Europe. And it is, right? European competition is just it's a total grab bag of nonsense. And so Arsenal get a penalty, they get one back. And as we were talking about before, being a man down, getting that away goal is a big deal. Yeah. So now Arsenal come home, and if they win 1-0, they win the tie. Yeah. Right. They win it. So
and they had a good defense. The problem for Arsenal right now is they are injured, right? Like Xhaka has been playing left back for Tierney. Emile Smith-Rowe is playing up top.
Yep.
They don't have Xhaka. They don't have Lacazette. I mean, they don't have Aubameyang. They don't have Lacazette. Those are the guys that they
Odegaard was hurt for a bit.
But he played the 10.
He's back, but he was hurt.
Yeah. But they need those guys to really they need them. I mean, the reason why
of course they do.
The reason why Arsenal won the FA Cup and sort of had hope coming down the stretch was that Aubameyang was awesome. And they paid him, and now they're fucked.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I root for the league. I know you don't necessarily. It is Arsenal, but
would you root? Wait, full stop. If it's Manchester United versus Villarreal or Arsenal, I know you're rooting for the league, right? Okay, so if it's Villarreal, would you root for Manchester United in that game?
No.
See?
Yeah.
So you root for the league, but you wouldn't root for Liverpool, and you wouldn't root for Man United, right?
If it was against a Spanish team, yeah, I might. I would.
Oh, I don't know.
No, I wouldn't. I'm like, no, I wouldn't.
If
I don't
Chelsea or Arsenal was playing ISIS, I wouldn't root for them.
They bought off ISIS. They're actually sponsors of ISIS.
That's right. Well, Osama bin Laden, this is a true story, was a season ticket holder at Highbury at Arsenal's old stadium. So I mean, I didn't make that up. You just fucking Google it.
Well, speaking of weird people who want to buy Arsenal, the owner of Spotify, Mr. Eck, is trying to throw his hat in the ring. I certainly love lots of turmoil for my opponents. They're probably like, Super League. I kind of like that. I kind of like Super League. Super League sounds good. Better than like Arsenal's just going to announce we're leaving. We're moving. We're just going to.
Well, it's funny because, he is a self-proclaimed. That was really weird. I was talking to a friend of mine down here who's an Arsenal supporter. He's actually from North London. And he was like, Arsenal fans are mad because basically the Kroenkes are using the Arsenal credit card, right? They're not putting any of their own money in. And effectively, he was like, look, they're billionaires for a reason. Like, it makes sense. And
they don't spend money stupid. Yeah.
Right. And they don't go to the games. And I'm like, why does that matter? Like, okay, all right, whatever.
Yeah,
like,
Sheikh Mansour, you know how many games he's been to?
Like 0.
One?
Yeah. Do you know which one it was?
No.
The
first one. Yeah, but we have Khaldoon, who's like the CEO of like 40, who's the guy who's really running the team. And City are probably the best run club of the top clubs.
Yeah.
And not outside of the money part, right? Like, yes, they spend lots of money, but there's a plan. Like, they're like, we go for young guys, we do spend over dollars, but it's never one guy for $120 million. It's we need this guy. Yeah, we bought a lot of defenders. It didn't. We kept on trying to find the right left-footed one, and then we're like, okay, Diaz, we're going to grab him.
We got him. Yeah, that's true. But what he was saying that he's just they're fed up with it, and it was funny to hear a bunch of people being like, "Oh, I'm listening to Spotify for the ad money to be able to do it," but he didn't really have a plan, right? He didn't do. He just said on social media, he's like, "Yeah, I want to buy Arsenal," and I have.
No, he did come out. He did do a spot on Sky.
Yeah, great. He didn't make an offer. He just talked on TV and said, "I want to buy the team," right? Like it's not how you do it.
It's an act. It's a show.
And so I imagine Stan Kroenke is sitting there somewhere in LA, not giving a shit.
He doesn't even know what's happening.
Oh no, he didn't, because somebody called him and was like, "Hey, do you want to sell Arsenal?" And I gotta imagine his response was very simply, he took the cigar out of his mouth just ever so slightly for a moment and went, fuck off, and then put the cigar back in his mouth, hung up, and just went back on his day with his yacht or whatever. And that's kind of how Arsenal fans feel like he runs the team, which is not all that far from the truth, I would imagine, right?
Well, I mean, the KSE,
Kroenke Sports Entertainment.
This is what they do. It's real estate and sports, and you need the real estate, and you need a team to go into that stadium, and everything else doesn't matter. And he married into the Walton money, which is fucking disgusting.
Wow.
Yeah, Stan Kroenke married a Walmart kid.
Wow.
And they want to keep the team. It's just making money. Although, let's ask fucking Colorado Avalanche fans how they feel about their owner, or Denver Nuggets fans, or LA Rams fans.
Pretty good.
Right. But, it's closed leagues. It's different. Arsenal is the one where they're just like, can you guys just do it this way, please?
Wait a minute. I think, and I have a problem with that, because it's not like a closed league. Yeah, sure. It's not like Arsenal go anywhere. It's not like they're getting relegated. We made jokes earlier in the season because they were playing poorly, but they're in 7th. They're in 10th place. Excuse me.
The thing is like, they could sit in 10th place for seasons.
Yeah. But they're not. Yeah, absolutely. But the point that you made on the show last week before, is that the Avalanche have significantly benefited from there being a salary cap, from them getting high draft picks, blah, blah, blah. And it's sort of their turn again, right? They're actually one of the best teams in the NHL. But when you go to Arsenal, it's not like they haven't spent money, though. Right?
No, they're spending money.
And that's the thing, is that it's very similar to their North London neighbors. It's the recruitment that's the biggest problem, right? Like, it's the identifying of the targets. Whereas, City, like you said, they've got a process. United, they spend money arguably more than City.
Yes.
Crazy.
Yeah.
And it's just shotguns. It's like a t-shirt cannon. Just like, and you get one, and you get a paycheck, and you get a paycheck. And so, and from Arsenal's point of view, the argument that they're bad owners, I asked them, I'm like, why are they bad owners? Because they do spend money, right? But the argument was, well, they the quote unquote Arsenal credit card, they don't really use their own money. I'm like, so the fuck what? The club makes a ton of money, right? Like, it's not like you're taking it out. You're basically, you're spending against what they're making, and it's a bit of a deficit. Fine, but okay, are you mad that Nicola Pepe cost $80 million? Yeah, well, you should be, but you shouldn't be mad at the Kroenkes for that. Is that their fault?
Yeah.
Is it their fault for not employing the infrastructure that City has, that they can have man management and proper recruitment and targets. Yeah, that's probably the problem.
Yeah,
but,
I mean, but then do you want to get into like how American sports are, which is all things are relatively equal and we all play GM?
Yeah, no, I get that. But what I'm saying is like, what do you like?
What do you want to have happen?
If you were, if you were looking at their net spend, you go, I mean, yeah, bad ideas, but the money's there.
Yeah.
So I don't feel like Kroenke out to me seems very, very strange, because it's not that there's not a lack of desire. There's not that there's a lack of funds, right? Like you've got a City, a Leicester City, even a Tottenham, even an Everton, who are making shrewd moves in the market to be able to fit their budgets.
Yeah, you funded Leicester with your $80 million slab head purchase.
Oh, United did.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, yeah, City basically funded. Sorry, Arsenal funded City, and then sold the league.
Wait.
The other way around. City funded Arsenal by buying like Clichy and all these.
Oh
dudes
yeah.
back in the day. There was just so all the money stays in the system. That's the thing that always freaks me out. I'm like, stop. That was always Wenger's thing. I was like, shut up. The money's going to you. What? Oh, they spend so much money. I'm like, you sold him.
Yeah.
Shut the fuck up.
Right. You made us pay that much money. And Chelsea have been using you want to complain about Werner. That's great. But like, okay, fine. Chelsea with strikers is City with defenders, by the way.
Yeah, it's the same game.
But you've got Havertz, you've got Pulisic, who's come good when he's healthy. So that's the thing, is that you're putting pieces together. Yeah. And you're mad because you haven't gotten world beaters with every big purchase you've made. Guess what?
It's hard.
Yeah, it's fucking hard. And I'm mad about it with Spurs too. Right?
Yeah, you want Davinson Sanchez. He's your fucking Mangala, basically.
Do you think I want Gio Lo Celso running around there for as shrewd of a deal that actually was with Daniel Levy? It was supposed to be like 75 million.
Yeah.
And it turned out to be like 53. The reason it was held up was because of a PSG sell-on clause, right? So PSG got 25% of the future sale from Real Betis to eventually to Tottenham. So what Daniel Levy did,
shit going on.
Well, so here's the thing. Daniel Levy goes, all right, here's what we're going to do. You want 50 million for him? Tell you what, I'll give you 40, but you're going to keep more of it, because I'm going to give you a $30 million loan right now. And then I'm going to buy him for 10 million, which means, and this is not the exact numbers, but you get the idea. So that means that PSG gets 25%, but only of that 10 million. That 30 million is yours to keep right there. So I thought that was one of the more, listen, I'm not in favor of Daniel Levy any more or less than the next guy, but like that shit was pretty fun.
At least you have a guy who runs the team, who loves the team, right? As much as he makes mistakes.
And that's, yeah. Well, I would actually ask an Arsenal fan this, right? Would you rather have the Kroenkes or Levy and Lewis? I don't know the answer, to be honest. From my point of view, I'm not sure. And it's so much easier to say the other one when you have one of them. But man,
I would want to be right now, today, I would want to be Spurs.
Would you rather have gone through the last 5 years and had the heights that we almost achieved?
What has Arsenal had?
Exactly. I'd rather have fuck all than what we
Arsenal is only going down, and Spurs are trying to hang on to a height, but they still have the ace in the hole. They still have Kane.
It's just,
I know. Speaking of the end of the league, let's just wrap this up with a couple final notes. City can win the league with a win at Palace, and Liverpool beating United. That's the big game of the weekend, Liverpool versus United.
So generally speaking, Liverpool United is the biggest game on the fixture sheet.
It always sucks. It's always a 0-0.
It has sucked recently in the last 5 years.
Yeah.
It has always underperformed expectations. But there's a bit of a Jurgen's choice this week, right? Like you've got a Liverpool win, gives City the league. They hate City now because of their newfound rivalry.
I don't think they
hate
City.
If they lose, they lose to their hated rivals, Manchester United. So,
right, but Liverpool still have to think that they can get in a Champions League. Yeah,
right, and that's their main objective, right? So if they win, they have a top 4 spot. But if they lose to their arch rivals. And I don't want to say done and dusted, but it's close to.
Yeah.
They're not going to be able to make up the gap. So,
and I don't. By the way, I don't think Liverpool are just a Van Dijk away. They have to do a lot. It's not just Van Dijk.
It's in the middle of the park for me, right? Thiago was a tremendous failure. And it's interesting how they kind of scapegoated him, but nonetheless. So I'm not sure
it's gonna be
need, but I agree.
The thing is like City's pretty fun. Like my team's scary. Like they're young.
Let me say this about Liverpool. I think we have talked till we're blue in the face on this show about how soccer is a weak link sport and you attack your weak link, blah, blah, blah. I think Van Dijk is the exception to that. I think Van Dijk being the strong link actually makes everyone around him better. Trent Alexander-Arnold, as we've seen a million times this year, is the weak link. Andy Robertson's not awesome at defending. It's okay. He's a fullback. He's actually not supposed to be. And even the defenders around Van Dijk, right? So when his presence is so calming.
No, I get it. I get the Van Dijk thing, but he's 30 and he's coming off an ACL. So
no, that's true. That's true.
They lost. They did lose. Like to be fair, I'll be honest. They did lose 5 defenders.
Yeah.
They had to buy clowns. Like they're living in Clown Town with their defense.
Yeah.
Let's wrap it up. We'll be looking forward to the United game and just next week's game, and really just that. And then for my goddamn Brighton, you broke my heart. You lost to fucking Sheffield. I could not with Sheffield. I can't with Brighton. You're too close to the relegation zone. Potter for Spurs, and then Brighton can get relegated and never have to have an affair again. Okay, that was the Squeaky Bum Time Podcast with Mike Salerno and Laurent Cortines. We are part of the Chop Network. We're excited. They're doing lots of stuff on the draft. We release new episodes on Mondays and Thursdays. Please rate and review on Apple Podcasts or any podcast, as it makes a huge difference for the show. And thank everyone for our new people that we love. And hopefully, please leave comments. All right.